Good afternoon, everybody. This is a very important topic. This is going to really mobile broadband, and this is going to change the face of India. Most of us we know. Now, how it is going to really change the face of India? Now, in India, if we see, or globally, there is a terminology called birth penalty. So, if you are born in some remote place, like you're born in Bastar or Jharkhand or Chhattisgarh, you are born poor. Why? Because you don't have access to information. You don't have access to the education. Now, this broadband economy is really throwing a ray of hope, wherein people can really have access to the information and education in real time. So whatever the information or education, quality education a guy is getting in Mumbai or probably sitting in Harvard University, he will have the access to the similar content sitting in some remote places. Begin with Anshoo. Would you like to really throw some of your thoughts on this topic?
I think the opportunity is there. I think there is, if you think about it from the point of view of the country, till now the country has been operating where people have been migrating to the point of opportunity.
Right.
And the point of opportunity has been in the bigger cities. And mobile broadband clearly has the potential to change that to the point of presence, which is to say that you would get services at the point of presence where the mass population is. In addition to that, it has the ability to provide employment opportunities,
right,
and hence contribute to the economic upliftment. So I do believe that, that the opportunity is there, but as a realist, there's a lot of things which have to go right.
Right.
For that to really be realized.
So before the broadband can really change face of India, let's see what is the current face of the India, right? So what are the various challenges? So Chandan, you have been involved with various government bodies, right? You have seen the bureaucratic structure and you have seen the India. So what do you think, what are the current 5 challenges India has? And then probably panelists can really take on how each challenge can be really solved with the broadband.
I mean, historically, earlier, telecom was the monopoly of government. The availability was restricted. There were long waiting queues. And then government took one good step. They decided to privatize the industry. And that set the ball rolling. But not only that, the government took another good step, setting up a regulatory body, that is the TRAI. These 2 steps were enough to usher in a real telecom revolution. Now a stage has come when this is probably the fastest growing and the biggest industry in India. But then now we have to graduate from the voice level to the data and make the data services equally available and at affordable cost to a common man.
Right.
That is the biggest challenge for the telecom industry. The poor man takes loan from the government, from the banks, even from the shahukar in the village to send his son or daughter for higher education in urban areas. He won't mind spending that much money on broadband, provided he can get that education sitting at home. He wouldn't like his son to disappear in some remote area to get higher education.
Right.
If somehow we can make this system available to him at affordable cost, say up to maximum of 2,000 rupees a month, he would go for it. The telecom industry must see that within this cost, are they able to provide him the service of the type which they are now providing only to a very small group in urban area.
So Varun, to you, what is your take on that out of these so many problems we see, right? So how this telecom or broadband can really resolve all of the problems or some of the problems? What is your take on that?
Mobile subscriber base in India is more than 700 million, and today the fixed line plus wireless is only 30 million subscriber base. We are talking of getting this 30 million to a reasonable number to around 380 million by 2017. This is on subscriber base. Plus we are talking connecting 50 billion devices, machines by broadband. So it's connecting people, devices. Once you have this platform available, all these issues of price discovery, getting education, getting healthcare facilities is possible. Content is good. We have good ideas as Indians, as entrepreneurs. But to make this possible, you need to have a media, a platform. Today we have, it's like a chicken and egg situation. We have content, we have ideas, but we don't have a platform. For the platform, you need a lot of investment. A large capital intensive industry is what telecom is all about. So that is there. So there is someone who needs to come in, as in government, as in private player, as a telecom body together, and make this work out in that manner. So I feel that.
CB, what is your take, like how we are going to really realize this bigger dream of connecting devices and really offering that broadband affordable connection? Because for masses, they don't want to really measure it in, say, whether it is 2 Mbps or whether it is 512K, right? They want to see some good quality content at affordable price. And it is a big challenge for a vendor like you.
True, it's a challenge for the whole community, I guess, or the whole ecosystem in that sense, to be able to make that. And I think the key thing, a couple of key things in what you said. One is affordable, and then the services to be available. So I think the aspect of affordability is also directly linked to the value that it can be provided. And I think our panelists talked about it in terms of if we can have value, then the affordability compared to voice then suddenly becomes different for education and other aspects. So that is one aspect that we've always got to remember, that we don't benchmark it with a voice that we're paying in or something. And I bring that point in when we think of this larger vision of mobile broadband, because we are not the first country or the first place where we're going to go into this journey of mobile broadband. Actually, there's been the other countries that have gone in. I mean, the Western world has actually gone into 3G earlier on, and they're already into the aspect of rolling out LTE and other 4G higher speed networks. And I think there's an opportunity for us to learn from some of that, because before we reach that, I think this is a journey for us that we cannot rush in, because we've got to take that in the right way. Otherwise, it will have an impact on user experience. It will have an impact on the cost of rolling it out. I mean, so we've got steps to do that. And from Nokia, Siemens, I mean, one of the things that we constantly look at in terms of our innovation is to see how we can look at some of the problems and find solutions to those that help countries like us, when we're getting in, to be able to not have to encounter the same thing and make it a more seamless and an easy way to kind of get to that point of having a ubiquitous mobile broadband network there.
Hi, I'm Raghu Bhatt, Assistant Vice President in Commercial Banking.
वही नहीं, कल दही अंडी का प्रोग्राम है, थोड़ा आप हेल्प करेंगे तो बहुत अच्छा होगा। टी-शर्ट का क्या होगा? सर आ जाएगा, मैं कोऑर्डिनेट करता हूँ। और कभी ये करेंगे।
Nokia and Bloomberg UTV present The Assignment at these times.
Brought to you by Nokia, connecting people. Print partner, Mint. Partnered by चाय के लिए जैसे टोस्ट होता है, ऐसे हर एक फ्रेंड जरूरी होता है। शॉपिंग मॉल वाला शॉपिंग फ्रेंड, कोई एग्जाम हॉल वाला कॉपिंग फ्रेंड, मूवी बारी ग्रूवी बारी हाई बारी बाय बारी कॉम बारी फोक बारी कहाँ बारी शाम बारी चटी बारी यार बारी कुत्ते कमीने एवरीबॉडी सब बारी A to Z। किन किन के नाम भेजा रोस्ट होता है, पर हर एक फ्रेंड जरूरी होता है। हर फ्रेंड जरूरी है यार।
और हर फ्रेंड से कनेक्टेड रखे एयरटेल, दिल जो चाहे पास लाए।
जब तक बल्ला चल रहा है ठाट चल रहा है, जब बल्ला नहीं चलेगा तो फिर
बिरला सन लाइफ इंश्योरेंस के वेल्थ विद प्रोटेक्शन सॉल्यूशंस। जिंदगी के उतार चढ़ाव में जियो विश्वास के साथ।
साबाई।
हाँ मैम साहब।
संजू, संजू, संजू।
मुसीबतें बता के नहीं आती
संजू।
इसलिए मैक्स न्यूयॉर्क लाइफ के लाइफ इंश्योरेंस प्लान्स लाइफ में रहे हमेशा तैयार।
You know I'm going out with Raj.
Neha.
Hi.
This is for you.
Thanks यार. Cool ना?
वो चश्मे लगे हैं भाई सारे मजनू। आओ ना, let's do some मस्ती शस्ती जाने जाना।
पर बेबी है बीजी, 3G पे बीजी, अरे गेमिंग पे बीजी, क्योंकि सब हो गए हैं 3G पे बीजी।
What an idea, 3G.
Nokia X7 with HD gaming on Idea 3G keeps you busy.
So Vishy, what is your take? Like we have a lot of challenges. We have issues in healthcare. We have issues in say financial transactions. How this mobile broadband can really take care of these challenges?
So let me first. I think the panel has identified some really interesting problems, right? In terms of being able to scale and offer an affordable infrastructure before we can get into the value. So I just wanted to put that part to rest to say, okay, are we on a path to create scalable infrastructure, scalable broadband? And then let's talk about also the value. So I think we learned a lot from kind of the hurdles that other operators in the Western world have gone through because of a lot of people getting onto the mobile broadband highway. But there are technologies on the horizon, some of them already being trialed out in the labs and in the field, that I think will solve the scalability problem. And I'd like to provoke a bit and say, okay, everybody's talking about how to offer known services so my poor man's kid can study while sitting in the village. But can we go one step further and say, can I use mobile broadband so that people can actually earn more money? So I don't just join a network to make calls, to send SMSs, watch YouTube, or so on, but can I actually make money out of using a network? So if a mobile broadband network services can actually generate jobs for people, okay, I think that is the kind of things we want to think about, because I think we have a lot of human resources in India. If we can use this to maybe distribute tasks to villagers, like we do problems, we solve problems, big Infosys sitting in Bangalore doing tasks for the world, but what if a smart kid in a village can solve a problem for the rest of the world now that they have this mobile broadband access? So I think we have to start thinking about some new disruptions like that as well.
I think this is an excellent idea. Only a couple of years back, the BSNL came out with this slogan, death of distance. And that was for voice. But once we go to 3G and then we have a video content also on it, we don't have to build highways for transporting people. Long back, when Intercom was introduced, the slogan was, why walk when you can talk? And when you talk about the cost, it's not only for voice or somebody moving to urban area. There are so many things which a poor man wants from a city. His map of the house, getting approval from the government, various returns and things like that. Everything can be done on 3G. Each human being can be a knowledge cell by itself. He can sell his knowledge, and you don't have to hold a degree to distribute your knowledge. An expert can be in any field, can be in agriculture. Look at a poor man looking at the sky, he would know whether there is a depression or not, whether there is going to be a rainfall or not. So there are such pockets of excellence existing in villages. The whole idea is to have an access to that cell, or for that cell to market its ability. And once we have 3G in position, sky is the limit.
And I think this is where we are different from the developed markets.
Exactly.
And I think so there's a lot for us to learn from the developed markets, and learning is always good, whether it's from the developed or developing. But I think the difference comes from, it's likely that it will not be a download of a YouTube video.
Right.
To that extent. Entertainment is in our blood, so obviously we want entertainment, we want to be entertainers. But outside of that, the economic upliftment which can be facilitated through the revolution we are talking about, would probably be different. I'm not the network person, so my colleagues can talk about the consumption, etc. But clearly, that's the opportunity. And all the talk that we talk about balanced growth, growth in the rural sector versus the big cities, I think all that can be facilitated through what we are talking about here.
Yeah, it raises the 2 points, like people want to make money, and people want to save money, and people want to save their life, right? So these are the three things which will drive this whole thing, and whether it is education, whether it is health, or whether it is a price discovery in real time for the farmer, it's all linked to these three things.
Yes.
And the good thing what is happening now, and the government is supporting for that, is there is a USFO fund for which Mr. Sri Sam Petroda is advising the government to formulate a policy where they would be connecting more than 6 lakh villages, gram panchayats around India, and they would be extracting information of the number of cattle, the number of sheep, the number of people, the sex ratio, everything through that database. And that is what is happening now. Microqual is also supporting in that facilitation of doing the infrastructure development of that highway. So, and when we talk about doing and architecturing that highway also for that villages, always we discuss is about the value what we can save. So I strongly believe that we already started doing things, and it will really shape up in the next 3-5 years. We'll be really seeing a very different paradigm shift.
Okay, now what?
Nothing, yaar. Just untie the knots and leave. Enjoy the view.
Oh shit! What the hell do I do?
अरे तेरे पास लैपटॉप और Reliance Net Connect dongle है. Hope you can untie the strangle knot, huh? To do or not to do, sort of.
For lightning fast video streaming at up to 28 Mbps, move up to the network with MIMO technology. Reliance Net Connect. It's fast. Are you?
Reliance.
What moves you?
Luxury inspires the Hyundai Santa Fe.
चाय के लिए जैसे टोस्ट होता है,
ऐसे हर एक फ्रेंड जरूरी होता है. कोई सुबह 5 बजे नींद से जगाए, कोई रात को 3 बजे जान बचाए. एक तेरी कड़की में शेयरिंग करे, और एक तेरे बजट में स्नीक इन करे. कोई नेचर से गेस्ट, कोई होस्ट होता है, पर हर एक फ्रेंड जरूरी होता है. पर हर एक फ्रेंड जरूरी होता है.
हर फ्रेंड जरूरी है यार.
और हर फ्रेंड से कनेक्टेड रखे एयरटेल, दिल जो चाहे पास लाए.
As urban population explodes, societies will be forced to re-engineer cities in favor of efficiency. Will these cities of tomorrow add to sustainable living? In an effort to transform lives, Siemens India and Bloomberg UTV present Cities of the Future towards sustainable growth. At these times, only on Bloomberg UTV.
Brought to you by Siemens, a Bloomberg UTV Pulse initiative.
The world of finance is like a foreign language, one that you need to understand, interpret, and invest in profitably. Reliance Mutual Fund and Bloomberg UTV present I, the Investor.
I travel across the country with experts to help you, the investor, achieve your financial goal.
17 September in Chandigarh. Presented by Reliance Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
In association with the stunning new Corolla Altis. Radio partner Big 92.7 FM. Print partner Amar Ujala. A Bloomberg UTV Pulse initiative.
Today's internationally competitive manufacturing requires both high performance and rapid responsiveness. This means that production processes must be highly efficient. Accenture and Bloomberg UTV present High Performance in Manufacturing, gearing up for growth in India. Join us as industry leaders discuss Accenture's High Performance in Manufacturing report in an insightful panel discussion. 30th August in New Delhi. Media partner Bloomberg UTV.
Presented by Accenture, Logistics and Supply Chain Media Partner, Log.India and Logistics Week India, a Bloomberg UTV Pulse initiative.
Experts and policymakers from energy and power sector come together to discuss the biggest challenges and opportunities facing the sector.
Energy conservation is a very big program that we've taken up. We have more than 100 billion established coal reserves. So when do we start mining? Whole problem is that you don't know how much agriculture is consumed.
Watch the India Agenda Conclave on providing sustainable solutions to India's power crisis. Presented by Mint and Siemens.
There has been a lot of talk this morning about rural upliftment. There are almost 720 million social living, almost 630,000 villages in India, and which covers almost 50% of the GDP. But it's not only rural. Like if you talk about Mumbai itself, how many people in Mumbai have better access to education? Hardly say 5%. Not even 5%. So the state is same, right? So even in Mumbai we don't have broadband. So if they want to have access to the education, like a guy is working in, say, different companies, if they don't have time, they waste almost, say, 4 hours or 5 hours traveling train. Can we really utilize that time, and we can really upgrade his skills, and he won't mind paying money for that?
One of the fundamental rights now they say is right to education. And under that gap, the government has spent enormous amount of money in establishing schools. They do establish schools, spend money on infrastructure, but they don't get teachers. And when some semi-qualified teachers are available, they don't go and attend the classes. In UP, some survey was conducted, and they found that hardly 20 to 30% of the teachers attend school. Then you have to monitor whether teachers really go to school and attend classes. And if they do, how many students are there attending the class? If we have the coverage, we find that a teacher has gone to the school, gives visual attendance through network, then also says that, look, my class has now got 30 students, you can see. And sitting from a distance, the education officer can monitor progress of the class, the strength of the class, and the attendance of the teacher. All that money which we are spending on right to education actually is going waste. All that money probably could have been spent on developing telecom infrastructure, which would strengthen the hands of administration in monitoring the system.
I think this is one thing that we also, need to probably also keep in mind is that, this promise of a broadband coming, I would even provoke us to say we're already there in it now. I mean, even with the networks that we have today that are being built up, there's a huge opportunity for us to be able to leverage and use that to be able to get a lot of what we want to get, with a more with this ubiquitous broadband that is of the 4G. The promise of the next technology is always exciting, but there's a lot we can do today with what we have. I mean, with the networks that are being built today on the 3G, we can get up to a 0.5 megabit per person if we tune them, the right way and get that. So, it's all about how much, that we were talking about what is broadband in terms of what we need to do. There's a lot we can do today. And with the investments that we have, because we were also talking about this chicken and egg, issue about are we going to invest more before we get people, or are we going to have people and then we're going to invest? I think with the networks that we've gotten, and we talked about it earlier, that they're all LTE compliant, they're all broadband compliant in terms of the next technology, but with what we have now, there's so much we can do in just being able to use that. And I think one of the things we need to do collectively as an ecosystem is to use what we have, promote the whole broadband usage with where we have, and then take that on once the demand gets more to be able to take it on to the next stage.
We close with this very positive thought, and let's take two questions from the audience. It's really very positive thought. Whatever we have, let's use it.
No, like what he's also said, I'll just like to mention, like when we talk about affordability of broadband, it can only happen with high capacity and mass adapt, and that too is both of that things are happening. Right. So when we were getting a minute call at 32 rupees or 16 rupees per minute, that is the same where broadband is there. But today we know what is the charges of voice. Right. So broadband will also come once the mass adaptation and the capacity keeps on increasing of broadband. So that is what
you talked, just one point, you talked about highways, nation can continue to build highways, but should be restricted to carrying goods. Not for carrying passengers. We need not travel. We can sit at home and get service. Only thing is, we produce goods, let highways carry them to the consumption centers, let them be mass produced and carry them back to the villager users. Persons don't have to travel. And highways should only be for carrying goods.
Curious to get people's opinion on what can go wrong and what are the enablers that need to be in place for this to be realized, because things are not changing. We talked about the fact that you can use what we have today, but the pace of realization of that vision that we talked about is slower than we will all like.
Right.
So what's the panel's view around that topic? Are there constraints?
I take, at least in terms of, I do want to end it on a positive note, but I'll take the question of what can go wrong.
End in the positive still.
But we start with but you're right. We need to be totally realistic about what are the problems, right?
Yes.
So I think while I completely agree that you can find good 3G speeds in Mumbai if you are pretty much the only user in the cell, or maybe few users. But to the scale that India works, right? You cannot do more than 16, if it was 2.5G, 16 YouTube downloads in a cell at a time. So it's okay that companies can advertise and say we have 2G, we have 3G, and LTE is coming, but it doesn't simply scale for simultaneous broadband access in a country like India with the density that we have. So that is problem one. The second is if the services do take off, which will be great, then we'll likely fail because our networks will not be able to support.
Well, there is another problem which you could foresee is about how you're going to really bill for those services, and you're expert on that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think billing for those services is key. And I in my opening remark, I talked about, in the end, it's about making money, right? So you talked about the application. So the application developer or the provider has to make money out of there. And again, clearly we are a value-centric country. We will pay for value, even if education comes first, healthcare comes first. So I think it's the question of those application providers or developers, and we can all be that, developing the applications that are required. Billing, I think, is easy. Billing is, I would say that billing...
You're an expert.
Yes, we are the experts. Come to us if you have any challenges, anybody, around billing or customer centricity or customer care. We can address that problem very easily without 100% uptime and all those things. But the challenge is getting the right applications and creating the environment for people to make money. And one constraint, it was a kind of a loaded question. I still see that, again, nothing against my friends in government, but government is still a key player in this. So we talked about education, and my colleague talked about the fact that schools are a problem. Well, you know what, mobile broadband can be there, but you know what, someone has to be delivering the lesson, and if they're not there, then what happens? And there, I would say that probably I talk about education and skills slightly differently. I believe our country requires skills in addition to education. And that skills delivery through mobile broadband is a lot easier and can involve private participation. So I think